Another edition of Schmoedown Night in Canada. Once again, I am your friendly neighborhood soda here with who seems to be my regular partner lately, Daniel. How you doing, Daniel?
Not bad, not bad. Happy to be here and talk about some matches, talk about some of my favorite faction, kicking some ass
Yeah.
in this tournament here. So
Yeah, we have it is the end of the quarterfinals. So these are the last two matches of this round. And how do you feel? How do you feel these two matches wrapped up the round?
I think these two matches were possibly some of the two best in the tournament, and
Okay.
like obviously, like I don't know. There's so many matches, right? But I have a personal possible match of the year in the Adam Collins Brendan Meyer match, which we'll get into in a minute. And
Okay.
yeah, I.
What are we gonna get to?
Sorry, something popped up there for a second.
Yep. All right. So yeah, going into that match, as I mentioned, like when I was previewing it, I could not decide who I had because, like, obviously, I'm behind corruption 100%, and
Yeah,
I want them to win.
Show.
Hey, I mean, I prefer Truth Seer, you know, that's all. And speaking of truth seeing, I've got some truth seeing to point out as well, but that's the later match.
Okay.
Brendan, and then Brendan, I mean, we're the Schmoes of the North. We have to rep the most Canadian, like, member of the Schmoedown. I mean, Janine was the first to sign on, and she joined our group very early on, and, like, we always represent all the Canadian Schmoedown players. But Brendan is, like, the Canadian. He's the perfect Canadian.
Pretty much, he exemplifies all of our stereotypes, really.
Yeah, the Canadian Steve Rogers is Brendan Meyer.
Oh, I won't go that far.
Well, again, he's the best of Canada. He's not Captain America. Like,
he's the Schmoedown's Bret Hart.
Maybe that's possible.
Yeah.
So yeah, we get into that match, and like from the get-go, like the promo is super intense, and I thought, like, I mean, Adam Collins has been proving that he's a threat this whole time, and this whole, like, anticipation for this match kind of shows it.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, this is one of the reasons I have this as a personal match of the year, because, like, between being a fan of both of the competitors and the way it was, like, this like promotion and all of the, like, talk back and forth between the managers and everything, everyone's firing on all cylinders, and it just, like, shows the intensity of two competitors trying to make it into the final four. And it really just it kind of exemplifies playoff to me, you know. And so we get into the match, and they both go perfect in the first round, double dewberries. And
we're calling dewberries.
I've always referred to a perfect round as a dewberry.
All right.
Because, you know, it was the best joke I had ever heard, and now, I mean, specifically, a dewberry is when both competitors get the 9 points, because the dewberry one was when he got it at the same time as his opponent, which was an impressive feat at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, yeah, so double dewberries. It's just
I'll take it.
Yeah. Adam spins action adventure. Collins decides to go first. No. Meyer makes him go first because he's higher ranked.
Yeah, Collins usually goes first.
Yeah, I mean, it totally works when you're given no choice, but also your choice, right?
Yeah.
So he spins action, adventure, broad category, lots of broad categories on that wheel. And
Mm-hmm.
then so he decides to play his chances and test the wheel, and he respins Angela Bassett. I think this is the second or third time it's come up this season. So I guess the questions are going to start getting a little deeper, but
Mm-hmm.
also it's a specific actress or actor category. So it's like possibly one that he anticipated and or knew would be on the wheel. So it can be like studied into. He goes multiple choice once, gets 7 out of 8 points. I think like I'm not sure how much the point spread in round two matters, but what matters most is hitting every single question.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, this isn't perfect, like, PPE, but this is perfect accuracy for Adam Collins in this match up until, like, the round three. And considering this was his first round three and, like, he misses one question in it, that's very impressive for
Oh, for
a
sure.
rookie playing, well, not playing their fourth match because he has a pretty impressive number of other league matches, but he is a rookie in this league.
Well, yeah, we'll
And
say like he's only had 4 matches in the top tier league of this, so yeah, it's only 4 matches. The fan matches,
yeah,
you know,
I mean, it depends on how you look at it. Like the some of the other leagues are as competitive, if not more competitive,
true. But I'm
and
looking at it more of a minor league system sort of thing. It's just like if you're the hell was that?
see, I don't look at it as minor league. I look at it more as like international leagues because a lot of them have slightly different rule sets and everything. So
Okay,
they are they
fair
are
enough.
very
But the wins and the losses and stuff don't cross over. That's why I don't.
yeah,
That's why
yeah.
I say those don't count. Like yes, they count in terms of like how he gets his experience and stuff, but in terms of his overall Schmoedown performance,
Yeah, yeah.
record. I
I
mean,
I just meant yeah, like he has a lot of experience
yeah,
in movie trivia, so he's very capable. And I even though he had never been to a round three,
mhm.
you can't expect him to be bad in it because
Oh,
again,
the way he's played, nah.
yeah, again, he has been to a round three, just not in the movie trivia
Yeah,
Schmoedown. You can go watch him answer mixed bag questions. That's what I was getting at. Um, and yeah, so Brendan, oh, he gets sports and he kind of does something that he does um, not super often, but definitely does it more often in singles than when he's in teams. And
mhm.
he kind of, in round two, he can jump the gun on an answer, especially one of those first two questions.
And he really did do that with the first question with
Yeah.
the skating one. Yeah.
And he's an impressive enough player to come back from that. And I mean, he mentions it in, I believe, like the pre-match interview. Again, this match was like perfect.
Yeah, and
Like,
that's the thing is that's a mistake like a player of his caliber who's been playing Luff now shouldn't be making it still.
well, and he says as much. Like there are such a high caliber and high tier of players now that like you you can sometimes make one mistake, but you can't make 1.5 mistakes.
Yeah.
I won't even call it two. I'll call it 1.5.
Mhm.
And yeah, so you can make a small mistake, but I think honestly like a repeat of the question and he gets that. Not
Yeah.
even multiple choice. It's just he kind of like misfired the brain connection to
Yeah. Or left the chamber a little too early.
exactly. And yeah, so after round 2, Collins is up 3 points, 18-15. Meyer, I think, let me check here. Yeah, he hits all his questions in round 3. So that was pretty impressive.
Mhm.
I mean, Brendan is an insanely good player and has seen so many movies. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And I
And let's not
I've
say that
actually
five-pointer was pretty tough.
that 5-pointer that Meyer gets, I have it written here. Well, sort of. I have like the owner of Spooky Island, the actor who plays them in 2002 Scooby Doo.
Rowan Atkinson.
Yeah, I've actually seen this movie like probably 10 or so times because like it came out when I was 7.
Yeah.
I've definitely seen the Scooby Doo movie a number of times, and I couldn't even remember. Rowan Atkinson is that kind of actor, though, who
I
melts into a role so perfectly that, like, if you can't remember the role
yeah.
specifically as him, he's he's hard to place
See, here's
sometimes.
what I remembered it. I remembered it because of the ending of that movie.
Mm.
Just spoilers for an 18-year-old. It's revealed that Rowan Atkinson's character is really scrappy do on the inside, and that's why I remembered it because I remember the end.
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then Collins has to. So since he misses his 3, he has to hit his 5 in order to go to sudden death,
Mhm.
and he gets a thriller question, Stephen King adaptation. It's a movie about a writer, something something. I
Yeah,
don't write all
sure.
of that stuff
Yeah,
down, but
it's the movie Secret Window where he pretty much locks himself in the cabin to see think someone's after him.
and so we go into sudden death, 4 questions in. I was prepared for this to be like 9 or 14 or who knows how many questions in, because from the first 3 questions, like uh, basically it looked like they were going to just trade blows, and this was going to be a new form of Iron Man match that they've created for themselves. Because yeah, both competitors looked super locked in all the way into like the sudden death, and then just like Brendan can't hit that one question. I actually don't have the last question that ends it,
It
but
was in the movie Born on the 4th of July, who plays the character of Charlie, a paraplegic that gets kicked out of a party or goes to a party with the main character or something like that. Yeah. And I've never seen the movie, so I never got it.
yeah, and like definitely if I had seen that movie, I might have remembered Willem Dafoe in a role because Willem Dafoe is pretty prominent in again anything that he's in.
Yeah, but I didn't
So
realize he was in such a big movie at that time. 'Cause that's 1980, what,
mm,
86? Yeah, I didn't realize he was doing movies at that time.
yeah, yeah. And so Adam wins 29-28. After that, corruption moves into first place. They go up to 49 points, hopping over Swag and the Finstock Exchange. Kind of trading places. And now the Coyote goes up against Liz Shannon Miller in the
Yeah,
final 4. And this is a huge, huge match for both of these factions because as I mentioned, I think the last time we were on together and I was taping out this like long shot Quirky Mercs victory. Well, that's all gone now. None of that
I
matters.
a week later.
Yeah, but the thing is, Swag still has an opportunity to play for all 4 belts at Spectacular.
Yeah.
And the Coyote can stop that next week,
Mhm.
or he can let it march forward.
And
And
it goes the same the other way around. Corruption also has the opportunity to play for almost all
well,
the belts.
three,
Well, yeah, but
three out of 4. Yeah.
still, if Colin
And
loses
yeah,
next week,
I mean, obviously they have another opponent after each other to get through as well.
Yeah.
But like the standings are going to get so tight, especially with this teams tournament only giving a maximum of about 9 points, give or take a couple. And like you have very little room for error at this moment, because a couple of good matches for one faction at Spectacular can be a point swing that nobody can recover from.
Well, no kidding, because like all the title matches are worth 5 points. Like, if one faction is in all those matches, title matches, and they win, shit, that's game over.
But the point is, the Finstock Exchange can only get about 19 more points. 9 in the teams tournament, and then 2 belts at Spectacular, the singles and the teams. But if someone can knock them out of the teams tournament, and you can like secure one of corruption or swag in that single spot, then you can pretty much box the Finstock Exchange out of first place between those two factions, and they can almost guarantee that it comes down between swag and corruption. For
sure. I'm thinking at this point, Finstock Exchange needs like a Hail Mary play or some of that to even think about winning the faction stand.
Yeah.
Which at the beginning of the year, nobody would have said.
I mean, literally, the Founding Fathers just need to like crush the teams tournament and take the title, because nothing short of that ensures their victory. Because I mean, maybe the Quirky Mercs taking the team's title, but the problem with that is you can't really like bet on another faction being better than the team you can't beat most of the time. So and then to take the belts off them, it's a whole kind of like psychological thing on top of just being like their only shot in hell, because they need every single point or they lose. I guess they have a possibility for points. There was the announced undercard for that match, Gray Drake playing Stacey Howard. Super excited for that. And then, so I guess they have a possibility for 22 more points, and I was lying a little bit, 21, because it's a regular singles match, only worth 2.
Daniel always misleading the audience.
Yeah, well, I was misleading myself and forgetting about a match that was announced today. Give me a break. Might have been yesterday, to be fair. What is time anyway?
Pretty much. Time is nothing but a construct.
It's 2020. Since Corona, time doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, I feel like I've aged 10 years in the last several months.
March the 412th.
Yeah.
Then we can get into this next match a little bit, unless you want to predict Liz Shannon Miller versus Adam the Coyote Collins.
I'm gonna go Liz Shannon Miller, but by 3 points.
That's interesting. I think either competitor, this is going to be another one decided on the 5, or it's going to sudden death. I don't want to count Liz Shannon Miller out, but I'm obviously going to root for Adam to win. Liz is an insanely tough opponent, and I can't really say she's the toughest opponent that he's going to face so far, because he had to face Roka and the Kid and Lon, and that is no easy path, and it doesn't get easier from here, no matter who he faces in the next round, even if he beats Liz, because this Final Four is incredible.
It is, and it's something that nobody predicted pretty much. No, I guarantee you nobody had this Final Four.
No, I definitely I predicted Liz doing very well. I was I thought Chance was going to win in the second round, but I didn't, or in yeah, in the second round, but I didn't think that it was going to like upset anyone if Liz took that victory
Yeah,
because
not really.
she's one of like the most talented players, and now that she really has a firm grasp on the game and a whole support system, as like every faction does now, and I think it really shows that every competitor on the factions, when you have that support, it's really improving the play of the players. And I don't want to say it, but when the factions don't have as much support, you can see it in the play of those players.
100%. And yeah, no, and Liz Shannon Miller is somebody you can't really root against just because of her, like, because of who she is. Like, she just seems lovable. Even
Well,
when she's
yeah,
taking shots, she's just like, you're like, yeah, I agree.
I was trying to be more objective based on just like knowledge in the game and knowledge of the game, and yeah, as soon as she beat like Chance Ellison, and then I mean again, no easy road, right? Got to go through Chance Ellison and Bibiani just to face Adam the Coyote Collins, who's
Nope.
on a 4-0 streak. Like this is a wild tournament.
Mhm.
It's so fun.
I know we recorded so many episodes about the tournament, but it wasn't until they brought up the bracket at the end that I was just like, holy crap, there was a lot of matches.
Yeah, yeah. And so we get into the next match. We have Ethan Irwin versus Tom. And I mean, this, while an awesome match, it does have the connotation of kind of being meaningless. Like in the grand scheme of things, the Den and the usual suspects picking
Oh,
up points
no.
isn't isn't really a thing.
No,
It's
fair enough. For a moment, I was like,
yeah,
what the hell are you talking about? But
it's
no, you're right.
meaning yeah, it's meaningful on a personal level
Yeah,
for those players trying to capture a singles championship, obviously.
yeah.
But in the faction standings, it is a bit like we're just watching a couple of teams that aren't even in the playoffs playing in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a hit,
For
Lou.
sure.
That's a hit on Lou for sure. But
Ooh.
you know, um, we got Ethan and Tom also going 9 for 9. Couple of really impressive first rounds. Again, we're in the final 8, and now these are final 4 competitors we got here. Um, so perfect rounds, 9 for 9. Ethan goes Kate Blanchett and just kills every question, 8 for 8. Kind of
Yeah.
hesitates on one of them. I thought he was about to go multiple choice, but then he just decided to answer it instead. So that
Mhm.
works. Um, Also, in classic Ethan Irwin fashion, has several anecdotes about all of the questions in round one, which
Yeah, I
I
love
heard.
when he named off the Holmes and Watson one.
Mm, I think I heard that on I cannot remember which show, and I wish I could so I could mention it. But just like the players that like answer like write down so quickly because they're confident in their answer and banter back with the announcers, and like Bibiani does it. Ethan usually does it as he's answering because he's a
Yeah.
more polite like, but a lot of players, if you have that confidence and that like really knowing your answer and believing in yourself and the ability to write super quickly, obviously,
Mhm.
you being able to banter back with the judges just kind of makes it look like you're a lot more confident.
Yeah.
And
And Ethan's was really good at it. I think that's why he does this because he exudes confidence.
mm,
Place.
yeah, and Tom, I Tom is the strangest character. Like
Hands down.
sometimes, yeah, Hands Up.
Ah, I see what you
Yeah, yeah. He spins rom-coms. He I he doesn't even say anything. I'm trying to understand his thought process. Also, I think he's taken rom-coms in the past or been forced to do it and done particularly well, if I'm not mistaken. So I was a little confused, but he respins, he gets 70s.
Well,
And yeah, broad category, and
yeah.
not even a broad category. It's just like every movie in the 70s.
Pretty
So
much.
to be fair, less movies were made in the 70s than were made in the 2000s, but
Mhm.
it's still an entire range of movies, and any gaps in your movie enjoying experience are now gaps in that category.
And that's
Right?
also like I think like the 80s is the perfect cap for where the players all of them have seen 80s movies, but I feel once you hit 70s and then 60s and then 50s,
Mhm.
you really either had to have grown up in that era or you had to be a really big fan of those movies to get those questions.
Mhm. And like there are going to be a number of people who get them, and like you see it, for example, in classics, because that has a lot of movies from those ages as
Yeah.
well, but you still manage to see people adapt to that, and people who go to film schools movies because those old movies inferred the movie makers of the 80s, right?
Mm.
And if we're trying to emulate them, we look to what they were trying to emulate. And so you will have a number of different things like that. But the had a lot of the first blockbusters, the first franchises,
Yep.
the first this. Like we're very nostalgic about the 80s in general.
Oh, for sure. A lot
But
like a
yeah,
lot
the
of my favorite movies to
70s
watch are from the
not
80s.
so much. And so he gets 3 out of the 4 questions, 1 multiple choice, so 5 points, drops a 1-point steal. Ethan hits it, 18-14. Um, misses the. Wow, this is kind of a mirror of the other match. Except Tom's playing from behind and Adam
Hmm.
was playing from ahead.
Yeah.
He hits the 2, misses the 3, hits the 5. uh, and I was surprised that like you miss a musicals question, but you nail a dance question.
Yeah. I
And
know, right?
like
Yeah. I
I
knew that
I don't want to say
I knew,
they go hand in hand,
I'm the other
but
way
they
around. I
really.
knew the musical one.
Mm,
I knew Debbie Harry, but I didn't know Boz Luhrmann. I'm like, oh, that's a fucking tough 5-pointer.
I almost knew the hairspray one. I've definitely seen it, and
Yeah.
I've seen it maybe twice, but I am blanking on who that like musician is, so I can't place it. I don't know that name,
Debbie
so
Harry, singer of the band Blondie.
yeah. I see. See, I know Blondie, but like
Yeah.
with a
It's
lot of
her band.
bands
Yeah.
from before my time, I just know the music. I don't know any of the characters except for the ones that caused huge drama, like Guns N' Roses.
Yeah. Or like Kiss because of their
Mm,
presentation, right?
yeah. I heard recently Guns N' Roses has had like 22 different band members though. So
Yeah, I believe it because there was a period of time in the 2000s. Oh yeah, like they were cycling through band members like nothing. Like
mm,
old had going through toilet tissue paper. Like it was bonkers. I did get to see them live, which was pretty cool.
but yeah, to just move back to not music. We're talking about movies here. Then Ethan gets his 2 and his 3, ends the game there, but doesn't get the TKO, which was a very strong possibility. There is a thing I mentioned earlier, and you can tell that somebody has visited Andrew Guy and they have, I'm going to say, adjusted him, and he gets to speak not only his truth, but the real truth about the Schmoedown that is around. And I think they got to him because he seems to not be able to answer certain questions, and I don't know, because he's very good at keeping a straight face. I mean, he's a very good actor, right? But he clearly was looking off camera at somebody who was in the room with him and dictate what he could say. That's all I'm gonna point out.
So you feel like either he's been brainwashed or he's being held at gunpoint, so to speak. Act normal or else.
Exactly. Little column A, little column B, you know. Why use only one tactic when you can use a two-pronged approach? I mean, I'm not Schmoedown, but I know how they operate. Like,
only a true member of the Schmoedown would say that.
oh no, I've just been studying them for a very long while. Like, from the day Andrew Guy revealed that it existed, I've been looking into it and connecting a lot of the dots that he connected, and even more dots that, I mean, I don't need to bring them all up here. I've talked about them quite a bit. We don't need to get into it.
Everybody, he's just standing there at the board with all the papers on the wall and just all the pins. And it's in the mail.
Yeah, this is my nice wall, but all the other ones.
Yeah.
And so we got Ethan Irwin playing Jeff Snyder, a rematch.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to do with this one either, because
it's tough to call, isn't it? Because we've got Ethan firing on all cylinders, and we've got Snyder playing like he's never played before. Like I've used this before in the past. It's a pick'em. You can't go wrong with either one.
And yeah, you've got Ethan playing like better than he's ever played, and Jeff playing
scary.
Jeff is playing almost better than anyone has ever played. Like he has shades of Ben Bateman. Like I don't know what it is between the fire and the winning and the convincing like wins and like the just hard fought effort, and he really looks like he's gunning through this tournament. So
sure.
I have no idea who to pick in this match.
Yeah, it's hard. This is probably the hardest match to predict in the tournament.
I mean, even if you shuffled most of this Final Four around, I couldn't tell you who was going to win most of the matches.
Yeah.
And that is like actually kind of indicative of these being the best players that we had, at least this season. I really like that the tournament got extended by an extra round, because you can really see the players that can get through a slog and a gauntlet, and that is half the struggle of playing the Schmoedown, because when you win, you get and they come with a
Yeah, and what I like is that you're seeing it's not the same players over and over again. Like you're seeing people that have never had the chance before. So that's what I like about this tournament is we're seeing this year is the true rise of the new blood.
And yes, we have Ethan Irwin getting 3 points for the suspects, which brings them to 22. They make no movement in the standings. They're still 1 point behind the Den, who could have jumped above the Rock Stars if Tom had made it one more victory here. But sadly, well, there's a chance for Tom and Paul in this teams tournament to shake up the middle of the standings there, and I mean, still a possibility for them to fall a few spots, which wouldn't necessarily be the most awful thing. I don't know if picking later might like actually be better, because you get that quicker pick in the second round, and then the later rounds are more of a like filling out your roster with like teams and specialist players, or it's kind of you do that with the two quick ones and then you pick up like people you're interested in investing in. And because after the first 27 players and then first 18 after that are all picked, you're getting to the last few players that are left, and just the ones that are like haven't had a lot of matches, or maybe lost the one match that they played this season, or are just not looked at as one of the people, because you only got 3 people, so you need to essentially this is so tough. I really like thinking about how the factions are gonna do it, and especially with so much power being given to the players to just walk away and join a new team. I wonder if they'll also give some sort of double blind power to the managers. I would be interested to see that, where you could possibly convince more than 3 players to sign with you. And then if more than 3 players say, I'd like to sign with Winston Marshall, now that puts some power into his hands of choosing which 3, you know?
Yeah, I feel like that, the bell of the ball there.
Also, yes, that could be very interesting if oh my god, if too many of the top players want to sign with too little managers, and then they pick their 3, now free agency is over after the top of the draft.
Man. Yeah, no, yeah, that's a crazy scenario, but you know what could happen.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know how exactly they manage, like decide to, if they're planning on giving any more power to the managers other than just the ability to convince 3 people to join you. And that is quite a lot of opportunity in itself. And then hopefully you can just get some of the people you had this year, and with the other picks fill the things you're missing. You need extra singles players, you need partners for people, and you need experiments.
Yeah, I could definitely see 1 or 2 teams looking quite similar to how they are this year, to be honest.
I can see that, because loyalty goes a long way, especially with like so many of these people being friends. Like they don't want to like upset one another, but I can also see one, who knows what competitors Ben Bateman decides to like get to join him, and you will have some sort of shakeup there. There's going to be a new identity because someone else will be taking over the Burning Droogs if Ken decides not to come back next season.
Yeah, which is a distinct possibility.
And yeah, so you will have that is the biggest shakeup. Honestly, that might be a smart thing to do if like that kind of recurrence started happening, is you either add a new faction with an expansion draft, or you like change one of the faction's managers so that you have a person with a different like ideology
Yeah.
picking in the draft, and then now that manager is going to pick people who weren't on the faction that he's managing now. And so they will pick people off of yours, and now you need to go and find someone new.
Yeah.
And that could introduce some turnover, but I expect there to be a little bit of turnover anyway, especially with like a lot of factions ended up with like 5 good players, not 3. And so you will see some managers maybe after their 3 or 4 people, like after their 3 keeps and their first pick, they're going to go for a shot at somebody.
Yeah.
Or they're going to gamble that first pick and then use the second pick on their loyalty, you know? I don't know. I could see Roxy, I could see the Burning Droogs. Definitely the Dungeon hopes to make a shakeup next year. The Suspects have a good 3 signings, but then I could see them wanting to shake up. Torchy Mercs,
The Finstock Exchange will not be the same. I can guarantee you that much.
No, because Ben is going to destroy it. But and then there's enough factions that could be looking for some turnover, that this draft is going to be interesting. I do worry that you could introduce some staleness down the line once you have a couple years of loyalty with a certain manager that will deter you from moving away from them. And I mean, that's all else I have to say about managers at the moment. And talking about next season. And so yeah, next week we got those last 2 matches to cover, and then there's going to be the final of the singles tournament coming up very soon. Oof.
And then, so is the team tournament starting immediately after? No, it's starting in November.
The team's tournament starts November 2nd, I think the play-in match is. We have this should come out before, so we have the throwdown the 16th. Or is it the 16th? Yes.
It's next weekend. Yeah, next Friday.
Yeah. And then we have the horror exhibition is coming out on the 30th.
Yeah. And we just had the Bachelor exhibition too.
And yeah, I think since the throwdown is on the 16th, it actually comes out on the 23rd, like to the public.
Yeah. Like, which makes sense.
Yeah, and then the next week we have the horror tournament, or the free-for-all, and then directly after that, that's the 30th, and then the teams tournament starts the 2nd. So we got quite a few things going on there, and we get a little bit of a break for some of October here, which will be quite interesting here because we get absolutely no break. We're doing an insane amount of things here on the channel. So if you're interested in getting to see them, you should go over and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You could have it over to our Facebook page at Schmoes of the North. And definitely like this video because it helps with all the YouTube crazy things.
Yeah, it really does. And on that note, where can everybody find you, my man?
I can be found on Twitter at my handle down here at Avengers_SOTN, Schmoes of the North. And again, on our Facebook page, the Schmoes of the North, a Schmoedown fan page, where we run like some fantasy leagues, we chat, we have a number of different like podcasts that advertise there. So
Yep.
come on over and hang out.
Yeah, and aside from over there, you can find me Twitter and Instagram at soda_the_saxman. You can find me also on the Media Sweaties Network, where I'm on 2 shows over there. Where Get Sweaty, which is live every Sunday, where we just break down the weekend's movies, sports, and just discuss a different top 5 every week. Upcoming, this one actually is relevant to the Schmoedown. It's your top 5 favorite Schmoedown players, which is harder than I thought.
Oof, wow.
Yeah, right? Yeah, and we have to explain why we like them, and it's like, hey, okay, well, you guys suck.
Okay, this is super hard.
Right?
Rachel Cushing, Chance Ellison, Dan Murrell, Mike Kalinowski, and Paul Oyama.
Oh, okay. Oyama thrown in there. That's actually pretty solid list. Yeah, if you want to hear mine, watch it Sunday, folks. Ha! That's called a plug.
Yeah, that's just off the top of my head, but you know, right. That's a little preview there.
You can also find there's another show I'm on over there. We just started. It's called Shooting the Breeze, where every Thursday, me and Ben Rayner, we just sit down and we just talk to shit for an hour about whatever with certain people. The first week we had Alex Shawshek from Call to Action, which was really awesome. And we just did one on Thursday with Hotel Nerd, which was actually a really great conversation. We mostly discussed TV series finales.
Oh, wow. That sounds fun.
It was. We could have gone if I hadn't gone to cramp in my leg that I had to take care of. We probably longer. So on that note, thank you everyone for joining us. And like Daniel said, like and subscribe to the channel. Join us over on Twitter and join us over on the Facebook page. So until next time, so long.
See ya.